We are to leave our children an inheritance, but by far and away, the greatest inheritance is the Word of God. Not just only taught, but lived out, but even more than just lived out, for them to see our lives really orbiting or revolving around God, His work, His church, so that they, at the end of the day, they're not going to remember everything. They're not going to necessarily remember, I don't know, October 18th, 2019, right? But they're going to get a sense of the atmosphere of the home. What was my dad about? What was my mother about? What was the thing that was most important to them? That's really their inheritance, right? For good or for bad. You see in broken homes, the cycle continues because brokenness will just continue because they know nothing else. But in a godly home, where children are observing their parents, again, not just doing things rote, not just doing things because it's what we do, but because we truly love God. I think that comes through, and that will be an inheritance. And we see that one of the most beautiful autobiographies I ever read was by a man called John G. Payton, right? That Scottish missionary to the New Hebrides. And he's writing his autobiography toward the end of his life, maybe in his 70s. And his greatest reflections, probably the thing he has the greatest gratitude for, is he looks back to the time when he was living in a small cottage with, I think there was a total of 11 children, one room or something like that. And he would remember the prayer life of his father, the dedication of his father to basically teach them the scriptures. And how is that after 60 years, he looks back and he says that if all the Bibles were taken away, he says, I would still know that God is true because I could look at my father and I would see a man who loved God. And I thought, to me, that's a great inheritance. By the way, not only John G. Payton, I think, but all of his brothers, all of them became ministers. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the mark of a great inheritance. But boy, if we could understand what we're leaving behind by our simple, faithful living. It's the day in and day out. It's not the big bang necessarily, but my dad loves God. My mother, I don't understand everything. She had some faults or whatever, but she loved God, right? That's, I think, what we want to leave to our children, and that is the greatest inheritance.